Hey, friend, welcome back to the Live Off Rent show, where we bring in real estate and other financial experts to help you build passive income, create your dream lifestyle, reach financial independence. As always, I'm your host, Brian Davis, co founder of Spark Rental, and I'm on this journey with you. Every month, we sit down, we vet different passive real estate investments in our co investing club. I'm in there in the trenches, investing alongside of you. So, without further ado, I am really pumped to introduce our guest today. Michael Hoffman, also known as Mr. Passive, started with humble beginnings, working 60-hour weeks to earn $1,200 a month, and knew something had to change. So he went on to invest in real estate and then vending machines and other creative or alternative investments to create passive streams of income. And today he teaches others how to do the same through MrPassive.com. So, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Excited to join you and a huge fan of all the different episodes. So, yeah, excited to chat with you today.
Oh, well, thank you for saying so. I certainly appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, Michael, take us back to those beginnings, that moment that you had where you were like, this is not working. I need to do something
Yeah.
else. And how you got to real estate from there.
Yeah, I think the kind of aha moment, Brian, was literally 2011. I was young and fresh out of college, working 60 hours in college athletics, and you just kind of grind to work your way up and making $1,200 a month. I was like, this is not sustainable. And I've always kind of learned uh, separate time and money, and I wasn't doing either at the time. So that's when I dipped my toe into my first rental back in the Midwest, where I'm from. And, it was a classic like $70,000 rental that was doing $900 rent. And like all I knew at the time was the 1% rule. It just seems simple and easy. Didn't really matter what the rates are doing or what this or that. So parlayed that over time, and here we are today. But yeah, it was a big, fun journey there for sure.
Well, so walk us through how you scaled from that first rental property costing you 70,000. Tell us about, first of all, what happened with that property, and but also your second, your third, your fourth property. How you scaled up, how things started changing for you as you scaled up. How did your strategy start changing? Yeah, how did all that work for you?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, the first one I used a little bit of they always say this whatever 6 months of emergency fund. I used about 3 months of it for the down payment on that first one. And then within 2 years, I was able to get a second one and just kind of run the same playbook with another rental, 80 grand, rented out for $1,000. And then as I started to kind of just see opportunity with like where Airbnb was going and things, I really got intrigued. We like to do a lot of weekend getaways and stuff, so I got intrigued into this idea of finding a place we could go visit and then also rent out when we don't visit. And so did a 1031 with one of those long-term rentals into a short-term rental up in the Oregon mountains. And it was kind of one of those deals where the winter there's a lot of ski and snowboard guests, and then in the summer there was a lot of demand for the mountain bikers and just being outdoor hikers of that area. And then we visited at least once a quarter, so was able to kind of do the whole parlay in that into that, and that really kind of took off with regards to just going into COVID and people were working remote and being able to work as long as you have good Wi-Fi in your rental, it's going to be booked type of thing. So that's what led me on the journey. And then I've actually done two build projects since then. And I was telling you before the call here, I'm actually getting ready to start a cottage cluster build project, which is pretty fun out here in Oregon as well.
Awesome. So, how many short-term rentals do you own today, by the way, just out of curiosity?
Two.
Two.
Yep.
Okay.
One
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oregon, Oregon. Yep.
Do you have any tips for short-term rental investing if anyone's curious about getting into it?
Um, don't let regulations scare you, because it's actually I think once you get in, like it's going to help you, right? It's going to create more red tape to block others out type of thing. I think the other thing for me that's really fascinating is repeat customers and like simple things like using a router that makes them enter in their email to connect to your Wi-Fi. So then you have all of these repeat customers as data. And that's what's really driven out. Like, I don't really care what happens with the Airbnb platform or the VRBO platform, because we've built up enough data where oh, we're going into a down April before summer, so let's do a weekend off for 15% off for all our repeat customers who know what they're going to get for our property anyway.
That's a great tip. And you also then don't have to pay the Airbnb or VRBO fees on those guests when they book as well. So that's
Exactly.
which is a significant chunk of change. I mean, that's not trivial. So yeah, no, that's a very good granular tip of having the Wi-Fi router require their email address to log in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've been to Starbucks. What do you think that they ask you to do when you want to connect to their Wi-Fi?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So tell us about your current strategy for building passive income streams. So you have some rental properties, some long-term rentals, some short-term rentals. You also invest in vending machines, I understand. So yeah, I guess start with the high level of, your strategy for, building these different streams of passive income and maybe what your asset allocation looks like there, what big picture what you're doing there. And then we can
Yeah.
get a little bit more granular into some of those specific strategies.
Yeah. So I think right before COVID, I kind of got limited on getting more properties because of the down payments. Like it's just got, and I at the time didn't really understand kind of leverage and other people's money. And I was also, I've worked in jobs where you take VC money and you're always on the hook for, hitting projections. And so that didn't interest me to take other people's money for a down payment. So um, I watched a little clip online about a guy who had a vending machine and a laundromat, and he was literally doing like $40 a day with people that go to the laundromat. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like he's literally stocking it 1 hour a week, whenever he wants, whether morning, night, Saturday, Thursday, doesn't matter, once a week. And so I got intrigued. I went and visited two apartment complexes that were like, oh yeah, we definitely need vending machines. And then I realized real quick, Brian, these vending machine manufacturers are like car dealers. So when I go to them, they're like, oh, do you want to buy the machines? Let's say 6 grand up front cash, or do you want to finance them over 60 months and use profits to pay off the principal early? And so I just started parlaying these machines. And, these machines, everything from micro markets, which are like the future unattended retail things you see in the airports now, where you go check out a Dr. Pepper and there's no one there. You just self checkout it, to a traditional vending machine. And shoot, I think we're up to 22 now. I got some remote across the country and on the East Coast as well. So I'm super bullish about that, because also out of COVID, there's a lot of new builds, like new apartments. And you're like, where did that come from? And people just got really aggressive with development, and now they're kind of popping up everywhere. And then the second thing is, with interest rates, people are very afraid about occupancy with commercial real estate, and are these people going to come back to work? And so there's a huge, they want to offer whatever amenity will be the hook to get them to come back. Like, hey, we have salads in this vending machine, like you can have lunch here, you don't have to have your own fridge. And
Salads
just,
in the vending machine?
oh yeah, yeah, we got all kinds of stuff. These modern machines will hold anything, everything from detergent to incidentals to subs and salads. So,
How do they keep the salads fresh that long?
oh, they're refrigerated. The machines are refrigerated.
Well, sure, but I mean, isn't the shelf life for those salads like a few days?
9.
9 days, really? Wow,
So
okay.
we get our salads on Tuesdays, and we'll pay 269 a salad, and we'll sell them for $12.
Wow, $12.
Yeah, you do the margins on some of those, and you're just like, there's no stock in the stock market that'll get me. I mean, simple math. You get a 35 pack of Dr. Pepper for 40 cents a can at Costco, and we're selling them for $1.50, like hot. Like we'll go through a 35 pack in 3 days.
Well, so yeah, let's dig into that a little bit deeper. So what kind of returns are you seeing on each machine? I guess first like gross revenue that you're seeing, but then, digging into, your costs and how that looks from like a return standpoint.
Yeah, so our entry level machines for, let's say, a business with 50 employees or an apartment complex with 100 residents is probably doing $1,200 a month. Our margin on that is 60%, and so our cost of goods is only 30%, and then we have 10% for everything else, machine payment, credit card reader, etc. So we're looking at about 60% profits. And keep in mind that machine takes about a half hour a week to stock. So we'll say an hour by the time you commute there and back. So the multiplier of just stacking machines is, and then our micro markets on the flip side of that, we're doing $100 a day easy. So you're looking at anywhere for, I think this summer we'll get up to 10 grand a month. We'll be doing $300 to $500 a day, just during the summer months because it's a manufacturing plant that makes pumpkin. And unfortunately, between November and March in Oregon, there's not a lot of people that work outside in the rain. So the summer months is when they have a lot of temp jobs and things like that.
So you've built up a business around this, basically. You don't Do you allow outside investors to invest with you, or is this just for your personal income?
So I have my personal route. So kind of back to your comments at the beginning, you're in it. I'm definitely in it. As far as, what's the shelf life of a salad, I know because we have to go get them. But then I also have an in-house cold call team and email outreach team that does a lot of data scrapes. And so we actually build vending routes for people in markets where they either live or they want to build a vending route. So we do that all across the country as kind of a done with you type offer where I'll coach them on what machines, but we'll also find them leads off market as well.
Okay, so if someone wants to learn how to build a vending machine business, basically, you will coach them through that and also provide them with help in finding placements for those vending machines. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yep. So we'll do like, let's say Brian, you move back to, I don't know, Dallas. We'll do a market analysis where we'll go into like CoStar, which you're probably very familiar with, and we'll break out all buildings with 100 plus employees, and we'll break out all multifamilies with 100 plus units, those two high foot traffic criteria. And we'll be like, hey, Brian, within a 15-minute radius, there's 200 leads for you. And then it's just a volume game. We start dialing into those places on your behalf, start booking you meetings, kind of just run the playbook over and over and over again.
Okay. And do do you pay these multifamily properties to let you house a vending machine there, or how does that work? You can tell
Yeah,
that I'm
that's
not very familiar with the vending machine business
no,
model.
I'm smiling because I actually just did a tweet about this because everyone assumes people want rev share. I want to cut. I want to cut. If you're going to put for using my electricity to keep your vending machine on, I want to cut. And you would be so shocked. I have two out of however many machines that do a rev share. We're talking less than 3% because what they truly care about is they want occupancy, whether that's residents or employees. That's what they care about. And so for them, it's not they don't view it as a revenue share thing. It's super interesting. In fact, Brian, the two properties I do have revenue share with, I've emailed them twice in the last week about where to drop off the check for the revenue share because they switched over their property manager. They haven't even responded yet because they're putting out fires all day. Like that's not why they got this because during an ice storm, someone probably came down to the front desk and was like, "Why don't we have a vending machine? I can't get in my car and drive to the Wawa."
It's a fascinating business model. I love that. Uh, and so I guess you charge, you have a online course that you sell, or is it a coaching program? Let's hear about your business. How do you serve your students?
Yeah, it's a coaching program, so it's not a go buy this course and watch some modules. It's a true, we do the market scrape for your area, 15 minutes, and then we'll start dialing into those places. And then let's say we get Brian a meeting with a lead in Dallas, for example. Then I coach you up on how to approach that meeting, what questions to ask. And then after the meeting, they want a contract. We got contract templates, we got marketing flyers, all of that stuff for you. And then the next step is we have relationships with all the vending manufacturers. So we get a huge discount for buying machines from them because we've now replicated this playbook so much and driven a lot of business for them.
God, it's a great business model. I love it.
Thank you.
Now, do you guys focus exclusively on vending machines, or are there some other alternative investments that you guys also uh, explore?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm all about diversity. So I do some Bitcoin mining. I've been doing that for 3 years now. Just different kind of things like what you guys are. I'm super interested to learn more about what you guys are about after doing some background research before the call. So we'll have to talk about that offline, but like just
Sure.
different ways to kind of diversify. And the thing I'm so bullish about with vending, even though I got into real estate first, is vending machines were Warren Buffett's first ever investment. And most people
Really?
know that. He got into vending machines when he was 18. He sold his route when he was 19 because he wanted to make a quick buck. And he regrets it every, I mean, food and water are needed no matter if it's a recession or if we're in a inflationary, it's amazing. So it's just kind of crazy to me. Of my whole portfolio, I have probably 10 different income streams. If you talk my Airbnbs, you talk my long-term rentals, Bitcoin mining, all my machines, etc. And vending's the most consistent. Like I within $200 every month, I can predict what our revenue is because
That's great.
it's so like it doesn't matter what the interest rates are. It doesn't matter what, like people still want snacks and soda and food and water.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point that it's a volatility resistant business
Mhm.
model, right? It's an inflation resistant business model. You can always change your prices, right? It doesn't matter what the Fed is doing. It's recession resistant. People like you said, they need to eat, they need to drink. And in a recession, they might be spending more time at home, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in which case, they're they're present to buy your products all the more. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I love that. And it makes for a good counterweight to some of those other components in your portfolio that might have a little bit more volatility, might be a little bit more subject to market forces. So yeah, no, I love the business model that you have going on there.
Yeah.
So how can people connect with you if they want to learn more about the vending machine business, if they want to learn about what you are investing in personally and some of your passive income streams? So how can people learn more about you and what you're doing?
Yeah, so the easiest place is vendingpreneurs.com. That's our website. There's a call to action to book a call and all that. I think the other side of it is you can follow me on Twitter, Mr. Passive, also Instagram, Mike D. Hoffman _. But I'm pretty active, and then also on YouTube too. I've been following your work on YouTube for a while, so kind of all the different channels.
Love it. Do you have any final tips before we wrap up about lifestyle design, passive income streams? How you've gotten where you are today, and how other people can model what you've been doing.
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably, I used to, like I was saying earlier, work freaking 60 hours at 1,200 bucks a month. The hourly wage was below minimum. And
Yeah,
before the first job was working out of McDonald's. And so my first rental there was definitely some nerves and risks there. And you just got to start, like no one regrets starting. Like I think more people regret not taking the shot. Michael Jordan was never scared to take the shot. So for me, it's why not? Like we're getting ready to close on this cottage cluster. I've never done it before. There's definitely risk, but at the end of the day, I'm learning so much. So it's kind of like you live and you learn. And so even if it's a flop, which I think it's going to be a massive success, we're going to learn from it regardless. So I think my number one thing for people is you just got to start and whatever capacity, don't just feel like you're behind or, you know, you got it all figured out or I got it all figured out. It's like, no, we all just started at some point.
yeah, and action creates clarity as
Yep.
well. So once you start taking those steps, you will be able to course correct. You will get some of that instant feedback about, oh, what's going right, what's going wrong, what do I need to fix. But if you never take that first step, then nothing happens, right? Like your life just keeps barreling in the same direction that's going in now. So love that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a lot of fun, very different than what we normally talk about, but that's great. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us.
Brian, thanks for having me on, and keep doing what you're doing because it's a huge resource.
Oh, well, thank you. And guys, if you enjoy these conversations that we have, please rate, review the show. Means a world of difference to us. And we will catch you next week. Same place, same time. Have a great week in the meantime.
Like the idea of diversifying into real estate, but don't want the headaches of being a landlord? Enter passive real estate syndications. You buy fractional ownership in apartment complexes and other large-scale properties. Earn your share of rental income and your share of the profits when the property sells. In fact, most of the syndicators we've invested with have averaged returns over 20% per year. You even get full tax benefits, including accelerated depreciation. Even as you collect distributions in real life, you often report a loss on your tax return. So why doesn't everyone invest in real estate syndications? First, you typically need to know the syndicator to invest, and the minimum investment for each property is high, usually $50,000 to $100,000. That's a lot of money for a single investment, which is precisely why we formed an investment club to pool funds and invest together. Every month, we propose a new deal in the co-investing club and vet it together on a group call with the syndicator. Each deal is purely optional. Pass or invest as you like. As for us, we invest our personal money alongside you in every single deal. If you want to invest like the 1% without actually being a 1%er, join Spark Rentals Co-Investing Club. Email us at support@sparkrental.com with questions, and we look forward to investing alongside you.